Welcome back to Cocktails and Classics. This week we watched One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I'm Dylan, your host, and joining me this week I have Zach,
Hi.
Cameron, and Ben.
We don't do
The
that
only one
anymore.
who's still doing it. But so to kick this thing off, we're gonna get a little libation going here, and we're gonna be drinking for this week's movie. It's more of a literary.
You just have to say the
adaptation.
name of it.
It's a pun. It's a pun, and we
The drink
love
is
puns
called
on this
One
podcast.
Flew Over the Cosmos Nest, okay?
Yes,
That's what it's
yes,
called.
but it's from a book. I can't think of that book's name, but
One
it's
Flew
from
Over
a
the
book
Cuckoo's
that,
Nest.
I don't know.
but it's all basically just puns of famous like literary works put into cocktails. I'll post it in the show notes. Yes, it's One Flew Over the Cosmos Nest. And to make this drink, you need vodka, cranberry juice, triple sec or orange liqueur, and some lime juice. What do you guys think of it?
I like it. I think it's pretty good. It's tasty. I like sweet drinks. It's not too sweet, especially because I used 100% cranberry juice rather than like a cranberry cocktail juice. So I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, I did the same thing with the 100% cranberry juice, and yeah, it's good. It's sweet. It's not super sweet. It kind of reminds me of when we did the Red Raider for Indiana Jones. They're kind of in the same ballpark. So I think if you like that, you'll probably like this one too.
I'm not a vodka fan. You guys know that. So this isn't huge. I mean, it's fine. For somebody who doesn't like vodka, this drink is fine. I would have probably 2 more before we're done recording. But I'm not going to drink it on my off time.
I didn't have cranberry juice, so I used pomegranate juice, and it's all right. It's a little tart.
Little
It's
dry.
not too sweet. It's a little dry. But I think the orange curacao or like triple sec that you use is going to add some sugar to it, depending on which one you use.
Don't use blue curacao because it won't turn out pink. I mean, there's no
It won't have an awesome color. It'll have a nasty, murky.
God, it'll be pink and what? Purple. So it must be like a purple type color,
Purple,
then, I guess.
maybe?
It'll be like a purplish color, mostly blue, but kind of purple.
Somebody at home can try it. And,
It'll be a
send
nice
it to us.
indigo.
Yes, send us a pic of your blue curacao Cosmo.
Next time, can we go back to bourbon and maple syrup, please, guys?
No.
Well, you could have had tequila maple syrup, but Ben doesn't have fucking eggs in his house, apparently.
I
Okay,
don't
who's trying to separate out egg whites though? Come on.
Thank
Oh,
you.
it's not a big deal.
Most
I don't want
people.
to do that.
I'll send you a video. I'll send you a Brad Makes video later. In a Babish tutorial. You'll be good to go.
So if you want to get the actual proportions, the recipe is going to be down in the show notes below. And if you make one, send us a picture on Instagram at Cocktails and Classics Pod and use the hashtag Cocktails and Classics. We'd love to see what you make and hear your thoughts on how they turn out. And if you haven't seen the movie, pause. Go watch it. Then come back. And then listen to the rest of the episode because we're about to spoil the shit out of this movie for you. So sip on your your One Flew Over the Cosmos Nest
There you go.
and enjoy our show about One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
And if you do make this Cosmo drink and guess the proportions, send that to us too. I'm really curious how it turns out.
Just guesstimate and start pouring.
Just start pouring stuff in. You know,
Experiment.
you're probably
When
gonna
it-
be close enough.
When it looks kind of pink, you're probably in a good spot.
So we watched One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest this week, a 1975 film based off Ken Casey's novel of the same name, starring Jack Nicholson, directed by Milos Forman, cinematography by Haskell Wexler. I was like waiting for Danny DeVito to show up, and then partway through I was like, oh shit, he's Martini.
Yeah, it's a smaller
Because
role.
you're looking for old Danny DeVito, and when you see
Right.
like young Danny DeVito and he
Danny
looks
DeVito with
kind of
black hair.
potato-y, you're like, wait a minute. This isn't... Because, let's be honest, he's looked the same since what?
Wait. Is that really? Oh shit.
1990?
Is that really Danny DeVito?
Yes.
Oh, that's hilarious. Okay, I know this comes up a lot, but there is literally an episode of Always Sunny where they parody this movie. And I didn't know it was a parody of this movie until I watched it just now.
Yeah, and the whole reason they that it's because it's Danny DeVito.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Wow. Yeah, I did not know that. I was like, yeah, this guy looks familiar.
See, because we had talked about it in, is it the Batman episode? I think Zach had a trivia question about like what
Yes.
movies
What
Jack
movies
Nicholson and
Jack-
Danny DeVito were in.
I totally forgot about that.
Nope, that was
And he
Mars.
said this movie.
That was Mars Attacks 1.
Oh, shit.
yeah.
2. I asked that question. Thank you,
Oh, fuck.
Dick.
I appreciate the credit
Wow.
though. It was a good question.
It was a great question. It's.
I
just,
wish it
you
was
know,
one of mine.
But I
you know,
remember
whatever.
that question, and I was like, I know this was one of the movies, and I was like waiting for Danny DeVito to show up at some point, and then finally I just was like, okay, I'm gonna check IMDb because is he Martini? And then I was like, yeah, okay. That's... Also, Well, I guess this is before The Shining, actually, but
Scatman
Scatman and
Crothers.
Scatman
Scatman
Crothers.
Jack.
Yeah. Right? Throw some Christopher Lloyd in there too. I mean,
I was gonna say that's yeah. Wow.
It's
I didn't.
Doc Brown,
I
Cameron.
I recognized that guy, and I was like, wow, he looks really familiar. Did not put 2 and 2 together
Did
until
you
just
know?
now.
Did you know Ted from Scrubs is
Yes.
Sam Lloyd, and he is Christopher
Oh.
Lloyd's nephew.
Wow.
There's a fun fact.
Hey, chock full.
Not
of
so
them.
fun fact. He died this year.
Oh, now why we gotta go there? Why?
It's kind of messed up because they always do like an in memoriam for Emmys and stuff, and they didn't include him, which is sad because he's got a ton of acting credits.
Oh,
Sam
he's
Lloyd, that is.
been in a shit ton of stuff.
I know. The only reason I know that is because Zach Braff tweeted out about it and was like, "This dude has more acting credits than anyone else I know. Where the hell? Like, where was he?"
We almost had a huge The Shining pre-reunion.
A pre-union?
Pre-union? What's her face? Olive Oil from Popeye almost played one of the nurses.
Oh,
Olive Oil from Popeye.
I mean that's her name.
What is her name?
I
Olive
love
oil?
the fact that that's
Sally
that's
or
the
something?
name.
What is her?
Shelley.
That's the name drop.
Shelley Duvall.
Shelley
yeah,
Duvall.
okay.
That's the IMDb plug you go to is olive oil from Popeye.
She has no other roles. That is the only other.
What actress is this?
Shelley Duvall,
Shelley Duvall.
Oh,
who played the wife in The Shining.
right. Yeah. Was she really the voice actor for Olive Oil, or is that a live action?
No,
It was live
action
action.
with
Oh,
Robin
okay.
Williams. as
Also with
Popeye.
Danny DeVito as Popeye.
not God damn it.
Be neat if it was though.
Damn, Danny DeVito. He's so hot right now.
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is the story of a criminal who pleads insanity and is admitted to a mental institution where he rebels against the oppressive nurse and rallies up the scared patients against her and the establishment, man. Fuck the establishment. Currently sits at an 8.7 out of 10 on IMDb. It is the number 18th movie on IMDb's top 250. Nominated for a shit ton of Oscars. It won 5. It won Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Director, Best Writing. It was nominated for Best Actor in a Supporting Role, Best Cinematography, Best Film Editing, Best Music. It won 6 BAFTAs.
Who
Apparently
was
was
best
the,
actor for a supporting role? Was that Brad Dourif?
Supporting, yes.
Billy Babbitt?
Support, yeah.
Apparently, that was the first movie to sweep those categories since like the 30s or 40s, and then it wasn't done again until where's that? I think it was Silence of the Lambs.
Silence of the Lambs is the only horror movie to ever win an Oscar.
Good, because horror movies are usually bad.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
It's
okay.
interesting.
Sorry.
Is that
It's
really a
not-
horror
Misery,
movie?
It's more
Misery
like a-
won Best Actress.
Oh, Kathy Bates.
Yeah, Kathy Bates.
Yeah, and then best picture, I believe, for Silence of the Lambs, and then best actor
Yeah.
or
Oh,
supporting
I know.
actor. I don't know. He's only in the movie for like 15 minutes, but he won.
But I think he won
Best actor.
Best
He won,
actor. I don't
yeah.
think it was.
Like I said, it
supporting.
sweeped all those categories, so I would assume that Anthony Hopkins won Best Actor.
It's,
Well, it
I
only
don't-
won 2.
I don't know that I consider Silence of the Lambs a horror movie. I don't know.
Seems like more of a thriller to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Well, that's how they categorize it. So suck it.
Weird.
Well, don't get mad
I mean,
at
they
me.
only have a handful of categories for these things.
Cameron, what did you think of Silence of the Lambs on your first viewing?
I thought it was good. It picked up in the second half of the movie, which I liked. The first half was kind of...
Wait, are we just going to gloss over the fact that Dylan said, what did you think of Silence of the Lambs?
Oh, I totally missed that, honestly.
But go ahead. No. We'll just roll with it.
You know
just
what?
Roll with the punches. Give your review of Silence of the Lambs right
For
now.
a second, I was like, wait, is Cam just going to meme on it and keep going? And I was like, wait, no one else caught this? This
Honestly,
is gold.
I think that observation could actually apply to Silence of the Lambs as well.
I really hated the part where Jodie Foster was like fucking running through the woods for like 5 minutes, but once we got to the back part of the movie, it was really good.
I really grossed out when she was walking through the jail cells. But other than that, 10 out of 10.
Anyway.
Cameron, what did you think of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest?
Anthony Hopkins, 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I really liked Anthony
Perfect 5
Hopkins'
out of 7.
performance. He was only in the movie for like 10 minutes, but it was still really good.
But what a ride
no,
those 10 minutes were.
No, I really liked the performances of everybody in the movie, especially the supporting cast of it. Like, I don't know, as we were talking about, it's like these random, like, Danny DeVito, Christopher Lloyd, and then, other people who I'm not really familiar with, but they do a really good job of, like, playing these characters who all, like, you kind of buy that they have their own, like, story and their own life, and, like, they're not just, like, they are supporting characters and side characters, but they're all, like, relatively interesting, which is good. I think the story picks up halfway through the movie. The first half of the movie was, like, all right, but then it kind of took a turn when I don't know why he didn't know this before, but it turns out when you're committed to one of these things, they don't just let you walk out when your sentence is supposed to be done. And it was funny that he did not know that until like halfway through. He was like, you guys have been letting me mess with this nurse the whole time. And you didn't know that they can just keep me in here for as long as they want. Why did no one tell me that? They were like, we kind of thought you knew that. Like, well, no.
Yeah, the last 15, 20 minutes of this movie are like a fucking kick in the nads, dude.
Yeah.
It is like, it just gets
Yeah.
real. It's like kind of lighthearted, almost comedy.
It is until like the very end.
Up until that point, and then like
it's
once
just a
Nurse
shot in
Ratched,
the arm.
yeah, once Nurse Ratched is like doing, like, she's like, oh, I'm gonna have to tell your mom, Billy. What will she think? And
That
you're
was so
kinda like-
messed up.
I'm like, oh, that's not cool. And then like Billy killing himself and the lobotomy and just all this shit. You're just like, fuck me, dude.
Yeah,
Chief has
no.
to smother him with a pillow.
Yeah.
No, the last, like, yeah, like you said, it was a pretty lighthearted movie up until like there were only a handful of scenes in there that weren't like when he was getting like electroshocked. But even after that, he kind of returned with like a vigor of like messing with Nurse Ratched. But yeah, the last like 20 minutes was just like crazy, like gut punch after gut punch of like the nurse being super manipulative. And I was like, that's not legal. And then, well, maybe it was at the time, but yeah, like threatening to tell his mom. I was like, what professional nurse would do that? It's so like awful. Because honestly, for me, up until that point, like she was definitely mean, but I didn't get the sense from her that she was like that big of a right, like that manipulative or that big of like a villain. Like to me, it was almost like she was just trying to like keep control of people who were kind of mentally unstable. But
Well,
that's
especially when you throw in McMurphy, who's just literally stirring the pot.
Right.
Like you don't really get to see what she's like before McMurphy's in there, just to like rile everyone up.
Right.
So you do kind of get the feeling that's like, oh, maybe she's just trying to do her job, and this guy's just being a total asshole.
Right, because like the scene where they're like, I want my cigarettes, and she's like, well, I rationed the cigarettes because you guys lost all your money and a lot of your cigarettes to McMurphy, and so I'm rationing them now. And so there, it's kind of like, oh, well, maybe she's just trying to keep control. But then later, when she's way more manipulative, and like I don't know. It becomes much more clear that she's more interested in making these people live like awful, miserable lives than actually like helping them. Which that is kind of scary. Like that's a scary turning point.
Yeah, it's really, I mean, it's depressing to like see and think about like how people were treated like with mental illness at that point in time, like the lobotomy, and it's like, dude,
No,
like
that's such
you,
a gross, inhumane practice that I have no. I mean, there are lots of examples of this, but I have no idea. Like, it's unfathomable to me that at one point in human history, they thought that a cure for like. I mean, maybe people will say
Anything.
things about things we do now, right? But it's like, how would that cure anything? How would just poking someone's brain with like an ice pick just like cure anything? Like, yeah, it makes them complacent, but that's because you essentially like destroyed some of their brain.
You
Like,
made
I don't
them
understand.
You made them a vegetable.
Right. Like, you may as well take him out back and shoot him in the face. Like, there's no like there's no other point.
Old Yeller.
Yeah. To be
If you're
honest,
gonna lobotomize someone, you may as well just like murder them.
which is what I think the chief thought, which is
Right,
why he did what he did.
Yeah,
To be honest,
Chief's
I
a
thought
real OG, you know.
he is.
I thought they were going to do that to Cheswick when they took him all like upstairs when he goes to do the electric shock. I'm like, oh shit, this is where he's going to find out that like he's been thinking this is all fun and games, and he's about to find out shit gets real. And it was like, no, does the electroshock, and then afterwards he like half hobbles through, and then when they're all worried about him, he's just like, ha, gotcha, I'm perfectly fine.
Yeah, you kind of. I mean, I had seen the movie before, but I was kind of like, is this when he has the like, kind of goes like, brain dead mode? At that point in time,
early.
and then he's like, "Ah, got you." Like he winks at Chief.
Oh,
and you're
right,
Like, oh, okay.
yeah.
All right.
Aha! I'm not brain dead. I was fooling.
Gotcha. You thought.
Ha.
I am
Joke's
30
on
minutes
you.
too early.
But yeah, to go off that, I also agree, like, the last 20 minutes are like a shot in the arm, and everything before that kind of just feels like it's just kind of going at a leisurely pace, and then it's like, oh, whoa, no.
Yeah, there's movies that take really good turns and movies that take turns poorly. Full Metal Jacket is the example I love to bring up because it does it so poorly. It's two separate movies that were just glued together with Elmer's glue. This
Yeah.
movie does it very well, where it's a nice, kind of friendly, even though it's a horrible environment. It's a inviting, kind of relaxing film, almost a comedy, and then at the end, it fucking hurts. Whereas Full Metal Jacket, just because I need to shit on it a little more, is sort of funny for the beginning, and then just a shitty war movie at the end.
The sad thing is, it's only kind of a comedy in the beginning because of Arlie Ermy, and it's not supposed to be funny.
Yeah.
But it is. Otherwise, it's just supposed to be a shitty war movie.
Do you like watching 18-year-old men get abused verbally? You're gonna fucking love this movie.
I had an interesting thought. Because Chief only ever talks to McMurphy. So when he first talked to McMurphy, I was kind of like, is McMurphy actually going crazy at this point? Like, is he becoming insane? And the Chief is just like talking to him through his imagination.
I had the same thought.
Interesting.
And realistically, I kind of kept thinking that up until the end when the chief goes to say something to him before he smothers him. Because up until that point, McMurphy is still the only one that's heard him talk.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I think that theory falls flat near the end when he like communicates with him and then smothers him because he's like been understanding what he's saying. But it is interesting up to that point. I could see that.
I kind of actually was like thinking about that. I was like, is that a theory? Let me look that up. And I don't think I saw anything on the internet about it, but
Yeah,
Well,
probably because when you get to the end, it's kind
I
of.
was going to say, it probably, like, most people probably have that theory up until the point where he's shaking McMurphy and you're like, oh, no, he can really talk. He's just, ha, gotcha, motherfuckers. I'm keeping myself in here for fun. Which, what a terrible prank. you're congratulations, you played yourself. You've stuck yourself in this terrible situation that you were free to leave at any point.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
I shouldn't say
it's
that.
odd to think like that all these people are there like willingly. Like is it Harding who has like the wife issues?
Yeah.
And you're like, that guy's like very like competent man.
He's well spoken, he's elegant. Why is
but
he
for some
here?
reason he's there. Yeah.
Well, I think McMurphy even kind of says it. Like, half of you guys, or like a majority of you guys, are better than any other asshole out on the street. Like,
Yeah.
I don't. Why are you here? And then when it's like, oh, we're here voluntarily, and he can't fathom it. But at the same time, you've got to wonder how much of that was they were, like in Billy's case, probably committed by maybe like a parent, probably his mother. He had stumbling or muttering and stuff like that. Probably committed. Nurse Ratched is probably telling his mom like he shouldn't be allowed to leave, this and that. Once you get to the end and you see how manipulative and controlling she is, you kind of understand why. Maybe it's not that they didn't leave because they don't want to. It's because they're like manipulated into the point where they think they need to be there.
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
Well, like Nurse Ratchet's like group therapy sessions are like so fucked up, where it's like, this is this guy's issue. Now let's all discuss this guy's issue, and it's like, okay, well, that's not really.
Well, it's
Also,
like,
keeping them all like cooped inside too, of like just all in the room. Like honestly, what McMurphy ended up doing, taking them on like that trip, like where they all went fishing
The
or
fishing
whatever.
trip?
Like that's kind of what they do, right? Like they kind of like that's one of the things they do is like take people out into the real world that have like mental disorders and like actually socialize them with other people and do stuff like that. Like they
have
don't really
experiences.
right, not just like sitting in like a padded room all day.
Locking people away so you don't have to look at them. Yeah, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
That's good because when Cameron and Ben first started this, I really thought we were gonna be like sympathetic towards Nurse Ratched in this podcast, and I don't know if I was gonna stand for that.
No, I think
no,
I felt kind of bad for her in the beginning of the movie, but as it went on, I was like, nah, she sucks.
Well, and I'll be upfront. I'd seen like parts of the movie, like just a couple things, and I knew, through pop culture references and things like that, kind of the general consensus. And in so many things, Nurse Ratched is hailed as like one of the top 10 like movie villains. It's like, you're watching the movie and you're like, yeah, she's kind of uptight, but at the same time, like if I had to come into work and deal with a McMurphy, I'd be fucking uptight too. Like that dude's, he's supposed to be the protagonist, but let's be honest, he's a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
He's a dick.
Nurse
He's got
Ratched
5
is-
assaults.
So
So
was also
statutory
one of
rape.
his things is statutory rape of a 15-year-old. So
Yeah, you're like, this dude is a total scumbag, and he has no sympathy about it. He'll be the first one to tell you, yeah, I'm a total scumbag. So like, you're watching the movie and you're like, wow, if I was Nurse Ratched, I'd be uptight too. Like I'd be wanting to try and keep a tightish reins as much as I can, and then once that flip is switched, you're like, oh no, she's real bad. She is not what it seems to be at all.
She's no Scar, but she's still pretty bad in terms of movie villains.
Scar from The Lion King.
Well, naturally, yeah.
Oh, okay. Did anyone have a memorable scene from the film?
I think definitely the first time, like we said, when McMurphy figures out that most of the people there are like there voluntarily, and he's like, what the hell? Like, why are you guys here? You sit and you bitch about being here, and you could leave whenever the hell you want. And then shit hits the fan with everyone freaking out.
Yeah.
I also want to say I love that scene when, is it Tabor? The cigarette in his pants catches fire.
Oh,
and he
yeah.
starts freaking out.
That one got to me because like this guy's having an actual problem. His like pant leg is on fire, And the first thing that happens is he's like restrained and
Yeah.
held and taken away and locked in some room, and like
Beaten.
this dude might actually need medical attention, and you're just throwing him in a closet.
Also, that scene is a classic GIF, by the way. The scene where he like is like sitting there
Flails.
normal, relaxed, and then his eyes grow wide as he realizes he's on fire. It's very
Did we
classic
bring back
meme.
the cameras. Is
culture
there any
reference.
pop culture references?
I just want to point that out. That is a very
How does it tie
That's
to The
amazing.
Sims, though?
this-
Season 2 is all Sims deep lore, so.
honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if there's something in there.
I think for me, one of the memorable scenes is when McMurphy like just gets pissed off and he goes over and sits at the television and he starts like playing the game out and no everyone else is just like staring at the blank television with him and he's like, "Oh, it's Koufax. Koufax kicks his delivers. It's a home run."
Yeah.
And everyone's just like slamming the bench down and everyone's just getting pissed.
The scene where they play basketball, that one's
Oh, yeah.
good.
Oh, when he's trying to get Chief to play, and he's like, "No,
Yeah.
stand here, put your hands up."
Then he just keeps throwing him the ball. Like, it's like that when you play on the playground, but you have the really tall kid.
Exactly.
It's like, this is bullshit.
The tall kid moves in and like, "Hey, listen, I know you don't know anybody, but you're on my team, and you need to stand right there. I'm gonna throw you the ball, and you better fucking make it."
I'm gonna throw you the ball, and all you have to do is just like gently put it in the basket. That's it. That's all you gotta do.
Well, Jack
I gotta tell
Nicholson's
you-
like that one kid at the rec that's like, "I'm hot shit," and he's like, "Pass it to me, I'm open. Pass it
Jarrett.
to me. What are you doing?"
I was gonna say
Okay,
that.
to be fair though, I actually read that. Well, okay, maybe during that basketball part, and the other people were clearly not like they didn't understand how to play basketball. They were passing it like weird, like the dude like passed it into like the stands. Like I get that part, but in general, one of the things that I liked was the relationship between McMurphy and what's his actual name? That's not Chief. Is it just Chief? Is that what they
Yeah,
call
no,
him?
it is.
Chief
It's-
Bromden.
Yeah, it's like Chief Brompton or whatever.
Okay. So anyway, the relationship between McMurphy and Chief is interesting because I think McMurphy's the only one that actually tries to persistently talk to him and like interact with him and like treat him like a normal person, whereas everybody else kind of treats him like this enigmatic like figure. Oh, he doesn't talk. He's dumb and deaf, and it's like, no, apparently not. He just didn't want to talk to any of you fools. And McMurphy's the only person that kind of treats him like, with like almost like with respect and like actually treats him like a real person.
Yeah, Chief is like the biggest guy in the block, and McMurphy shows up, and he's like, "All right," treats it like jail. He's got to walk up to the biggest guy and make a fool of him. But then he kind of gains that mutual respect from Chief just staring him down. And yeah, they become friends throughout the rest of the film, which I think is nice.
I also love this scene where they're playing Monopoly, and oh my god, Martini's like just trying to like throw like the hotel on. He's like, okay,
On Boardwalk.
and he's like, no, you need to have that. Okay.
Oh yeah,
then
when
he
Hardin just loses his shit. It's like, you need
Yeah.
4 houses, then you can put a hotel. It costs $1,000.
And then
oh,
Tabor,
I have a hotel.
Tabor basically joins on Martini's side, and he's like, play the game. He's like, I'm trying to play. No, play the game. Stop with your bullshit. Play the game. It's just like, in reality, Harding's like the normal one who's like, no, god damn it. Like, I'm trying. It's so weird to me that even though McMurphy is like the one that realistically is kind of conning his way to be there, Harding the entire time seems like a normal guy who's just there for some reason. Like,
It's just
I like
a simp.
yeah. He's just an
Simp
incel.
shaming was for season 1. We're done with simp shaming.
Oh,
No,
sorry.
we're not.
So this week's podcast is brought to you by Surfside Sips. They make high-impact glass straws. They're a family-owned company, and what's better than saving the turds?
The turds.
The turds.
I'm one of those people who hates using paper straws. Paper straws fucking
Paper straws suck.
I
They are the
love
worst
what
solution.
they do. I love that we're minimizing the use of plastic straws. I enjoy that. Paper straws suck ass.
They suck. They're the worst possible solution because turns out, guess what? paper and water don't fucking mix, okay? I don't know who came up with it, but it doesn't work. Even though they put coating on it to try and help, it doesn't work. It just gets soggy and you end up throwing it away anyway, and that's just more waste. And so,
But you know what doesn't get soggy? Glass.
yeah.
Glass straws from Surfside Sips. And if you want to get some glass straws from Surfside Sips, you can use coupon code cocktails and classics spelled out. That's cocktails and classics for 20% off your order.
And if you're looking for a business to support during this time, seems like a good idea. Today's episode is brought to you by Audible. Audible is the leading provider of spoken word entertainment and audiobooks, ranging from bestsellers to celebrity memoirs, news, business, and self-development. But essentially what it is every month you get 1 credit to pick any title, plus 2 Audible originals from their monthly selection. So, Dylan and Zach, what are your experiences with Audible?
So, working from home nowadays, I recently used Audible to rip through one of my favorite book series. It's always great to go back and revisit some of your favorites.
And since we've recently done From Russia with Love, you could check out some of Ian Fleming's books on Audible. They have Dan Stevens, Toby Stevens, Damian Lewis, many great narrators. Read through Diamonds Are Forever, From Russia with Love, Live and Let Die. So maybe you want to get into the James Bond novels as well as the movies.
To start your free 30-day trial, go to audibletrial.com/cocktails and classics, all lowercase. Again, that's audible.com/cocktails and classics. After your free trial is up, it costs $14.95 per month. However, there are no commitments, and if you can't decide what to listen to, that's okay. You can roll your credits over up to 1 year.
A little bit of a tradition around here is Zach takes over and puts us through a trivia quiz. Zach, take it away.
Thanks, guys. I gotta say, I have all my questions prepared. We spoiled none of them. We'll start off with question number 1, because that's what you should do when you give a quiz. Which of the following actors was not considered for the role of McMurphy? Is it A, Marlon Brando, B, Robert Redford, or C, Burt Reynolds?
When was this movie done again?
75.
74?
It was released in 75, I believe.
I guess I'm gonna say Marlon Brando. I don't know. The Godfather was filmed around this time, but I guess to be considered for it, they may not take into a scheduling conflict. So I don't know. I guess I'm gonna say Marlon Brando.
I'm gonna say Robert Redford. Maybe he was too much of a pretty boy for it.
Also, Marlon Brando is very into Native American rights, and he had a Native American woman decline his Academy Award, I think, for Best Actor at a thing because of the treatment of Native Americans in this country. So I don't know if he actually would have appreciated the stereotypes, especially the Native American music in the beginning and end. I don't know if he would have liked it.
I'm going with Marlon Brando just because I think he would have been a bit on the older end by 1975. I mean, you look at the other actors and they all seem to be, relatively close in age. And then you look at Brando and you're like, he seems like he's up there a bit for someone to be playing like a 35-year-old.
All right, yeah, so to Cam's point, with Brando not appreciating the Native American treatment, I do have a fun fact about Chief. His real character, or his actor's name is Will Sampson. He was actually chosen because he was the only Native American they could find that was that big. So,
Interesting.
The interview process for this whole thing was kind of a shill anyways. All that being said, the answer is Robert Redford. Completely turned down the part. Was not for him.
Well, wait, he turned it down?
Or not, sorry. Was not considered for the part.
I was going to say, if he turned it down, then he was considered. That's not a...
It's a sham.
It was
Kangaroo
Burt
Report.
Reynolds.
Works.
Burt Reynolds was actually the first choice for it, and he was like, fuck no.
Oh, why?
Interesting.
Didn't want to be in a good movie?
Was too busy
Nah.
with Smokey and the Bandit, I guess. I
He
don't
was
know.
too busy making Hooper, Life of a Hollywood Stuntman.
Smokey and the
I
Bandit.
can understand. There are certain actors that
Or-
don't ever want to be in a good movie, so I get it.
Yeah, but you probably make more money doing bad movies. So
I
Could
mean,
you-
that's fine. Ask Adam Sandler.
No, Adam Sandler's been in some greats.
Yeah, he's been in
Punch Drunk Love,
Happy Gilmore,
Uncut
Billy
Gems.
Madison.
Click.
Grown
Jack and
Ups.
Jill.
Grown Ups 2.
I mean, like
Jack
Nick
and
Cage.
Jill.
I mean, but Nick Cage literally just does anything under the sun because he fucking can't handle money correctly.
Oh,
Wasn't that what happened with Brendan Fraser? Was like
No,
did
he
the
got
Mummy and
blacklisted.
He got blacklisted.
well, I
for
thought it was a
some
big thing
reason.
was the fact that like also his wife, like he was in a pretty rough divorce and like he
I
didn't
think that's
have
true.
money, so like he would take any acting job he could get, and then he did a shit ton of bad movies. And
He also did get blacklisted for some reason. I don't remember what the reason was though.
he also did stop doing a lot of the movies he was doing at the time because like
God, he has such a wide mouth.
Brendan Fraser?
Brendan Fraser. Like,
Also,
like
he
his
looks like shit
this,
now.
like this part
But
of his jaw. Like his,
Also, like, keep in mind the man had like a broken, like he had like injuries a professional athlete would get being an actor. So he was like, I can't do it anymore.
This dude's
And he-
51. He looks like 65.
yeah,
yeah,
Brendan
he
Fraser
looks
looks
rough.
like a comic drawing.
he is the Crimson Chin.
Oh my god. The crimson neck.
Since you guys
Aw.
brought up his greatness, Nicolas Cage, I do have to let you know Nicolas Cage has signed on to do a TV show with Amazon, where he will play Joe Exotic in a Tiger King series.
God.
Yeah, I did know that.
Just so everybody's
yes.
aware,
Thank
the
God.
Tiger King thing ended earlier this year. Nick Cage will be starring in a new Tiger King thing.
Oh.
Fraser alleged in 2018 that he was sexually assaulted by Philip Burke, the president of the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, at a luncheon in the summer of 2003. The incident, his subsequent divorce, and the death of his mother launched Fraser into a depression that, combined with his mental health issues and a backlash within the industry over speaking out against Burke, he believed caused his career to decline.
Damn it. That's right. He got blackballed over
Balls.
Some Me Too shit.
being sexually assaulted and then actually speaking out about it. Sad. He was 17 or 15, 16 years too early on that. When did the whole Me Too thing start?
Well, Corey Feldman
probably
was going at
2018.
it from the get-go.
That's true, but that hasn't worked out well for Corey Feldman, unfortunately.
I think he's also a smaller star than Brendan Fraser was at the time.
That's
He was in
What, at the
Stand By
time?
Me and
Yeah.
Goonies.
Yeah,
and
Corey Feldman was in a bunch as a
Sorry.
child.
but not as an adult.
So, Dylan is in the lead with a point, the sole lead.
We can't let that happen.
Jot it down. Dylan has the sole lead in season 2, his first one. Question number 2. Get ready to ruin that. Question number 2. Who was the first actor to be cast for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest? Was it A, Danny DeVito, B, Jack Nicholson, or C, Louise Fletcher?
I'm going to go with Miss Louise Fletcher. I feel like her character is very iconic, so they may have picked her first.
That's what I kind of want to say, but I kind of want to say you would pick the lead actor first.
He did say that Burt Reynolds was
Was like the first choice.
the first choice and was not. He turned it down. So my guess is it's not him, but I shouldn't have said that.
No, I mean, I know. I've been in this podcast. I was present.
Oh, but I would also be happy if it was Danny DeVito.
I was also gonna say Nurse Ratchet, so this is no
Yeah.
bueno, but that's where I'm going.
Yeah.
Now Dylan's just gonna play the fucking game.
Could.
You got to go with what's in your heart.
If Dylan gets this right, he essentially wins because he's got a 1-0 lead right now.
Yeah.
Unless we kneecap him later.
Like, if you guys don't get it right and Dylan does get it right, it's kind of game over.
Yeah.
Oh my god. As a side note, if you go to brendanfraser.com, it's so
no.
old that you can actually click on two different versions of the site. One is a flash enhanced high bandwidth site and one is a traditional HTML low bandwidth site.
Sick.
You obviously can't load the high bandwidth one because you could do Flash,
Yeah,
but
Flash
most browsers have Flash turned off by default because it's super bad, very unsecure. Don't do it.
Hashtag just Adobe things.
God, I'll just go with my heart. I do think it's Nurse Ratched.
Was that 3
gonna be-
Nurse Ratchets across the board?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be
Well,
fucking Danny DeVito, I bet.
Yeah, I got an answer for you boys. It's 3 incorrect answers across the board as well. It was Danny DeVito, first actor
damn it.
cast
That
for
was
One
my
Flew
other
Over the
option.
Cuckoo's Nest.
That's interesting.
It is, because he was not like a key player in the movie.
Yeah, there were actually
my God.
some big disputes with Jack Nicholson going back and forth between the crew. Jack Nicholson did not like how the story played out, especially his character. And that's true for a lot of the actors. Like Nurse Ratched kind of flipped the script. The script originally had her being this just pure evil nurse where she was vindictive and vengeful to everybody the entire time. And she actually flipped it so that she's more like... It almost seems like she wants good for these people until Jack Nicholson's character pushes her over the edge. Then she goes full Nurse Ratched on the ass.
Damn, could have won it. Should have went.
So, on the last episode, we talked about a particular U.S. president's favorite film. And I thought for question number 3, we would bring back a similar answer, or a similar question, which is, which U.S. president has this listed as his favorite film? Is it A, George Bush Jr., B, William Clinton, or C, Barack Obama?
See, this is the type of trivia question we need. This one's good.
Bill Clinton does like that 15-year-old beaver.
God damn it.
That'll
I'm
make
gonna
the
say
Instagram
Bill
ad.
Clinton
Bill
as my
Clinton can
answer.
heavily relate to the main character of this movie. Does what's his name again? Can you remind? Not Bill Clinton, obviously.
Which
George
one
Bush?
of you?
Barack Obama.
Which one of you nuts has guts?
No, the main character.
McMurphy?
McMurphy, thank you. Does McMurphy play the saxophone?
I don't know.
Does
if
McMurphy like
plays
jazz?
the saxophone?
I'm going to say Bill Clinton.
I mean, Bill Clinton's certainly old enough. Then again, all of them are. What was the option besides George W. Bush Jr.?
It's W, Barack, and Bill.
I don't think Barack Obama would say that it's his favorite movie.
You think
Cameron
he's more
knows
of a
Barack
Full Metal
personally.
Jacket guy?
He knows Barack. I love Barack.
Barry. My man.
I love Barack and roll. Put another dime in that pool, baby.
Anyway, I'm gonna say George W. Bush. I'm gonna go with W, I guess, on this one.
Because Cheney told him to, though.
Yeah.
Either
I'm
Cheney
also,
or his dad, either one.
I'm also gonna go with George W. I think he watchifies this movie all the time.
I think that's Ben doing Will Ferrell doing George W. Bush.
Isn't that how everyone does George W.
Yeah.
Bush? But Will Ferrell?
God, you guys ever see when Will Ferrell did that like presidential stand-up where it was just an hour of him on stage pretending to be George Bush? It is so funny. It's like a stand-up special, but he's just straight up Colbert Report
I feel
for
like
an
I've
hour.
seen part of that.
Did he?
Well, I don't know.
No. Was it Sam Rockwell? Did he do W in
No.
He did in the movie.
Brolin.
Right. Vice or in the
Oh.
movie W?
And Harold and
in-
Kumar go to Guantanamo Bay.
Josh Brolin was
In W, it was Brolin.
Okay.
In Vice, I think it was Sam Rockwell.
Okay.
I think you're right on that.
Can I get a recap on answers? I don't remember who said what.
I said Bill. They both said W.
Perfect. This is awesome. Because the answer was actually Barack Obama.
No fucking way.
Which-
wow.
Like, Dylan, you backed your way into a win. I'm proud of you, bud. You got a dub out of this.
Thanks, but I'm actually surprised that Barack has this on like his favorite movies list.
Yeah. Wow.
Dylan with the 1-0 victory. Phenomenal
saddest
job
win.
this week, boys. I know we threw out some weird questions in there, but I'm proud of you for showing up.
I mean, Barack would have been like, what, 20-something when this movie came out at best?
No.
75?
75?
Barack was born in what, the 50s, 60s? 60s.
I'd say he's probably around the same age as our parents, seeing as his kids
I
are
don't know,
younger
dog.
than us.
You're 26 and seeing it for the first time. So.
I mean, that's true.
Barack is as old as my dad. He was born in 1961.
Shout out to
61.
Dylan's dad.
So,
he would have been like a teenager when this came out.
yeah.
He would have seen this movie when it was I'm 14 and this is deep.
He probably read the book.
Probably.
true.
That does make sense.
All right, thanks for playing, everybody. Dylan takes home his first one of the season, the first of many more to come.
Woo.
Proud of you.
The first of one for the season. Don't get us hopes up.
First and last win of the season. Congrats.
Feels good to do it this early. I'd like to
Cheers.
thank my
Cheers
parents,
to you.
Oh, yeah, go ahead and give an acceptance
the,
speech.
the academy.
I'd like to thank my parents for having sex so that I could be here to have this moment.
Also, God.
And also when they had sex for me to be born.
I'd like to thank Barack for liking One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Those of us who have seen the film wrote down our rating before based off memory and nostalgia. And now I want to know if your ratings has changed or not. And I kind of liked it the first episode. So season 2, we're going to continue on with Cameron leading it off. I want that untainted.
I thought the movie was good. I liked the complex characters. I thought the first half of the movie I was kind of wondering like what the movie was about in the first kind of part of it. But it got there. It was more like scene setting and essentially like building a rapport with these characters who I think it does a really good job of making them complex. Like a lot of the characters that are around Jack Nicholson's character aren't like, they don't seem super one-dimensional. They seem like they could be actual people with real like, you know, fears and emotions and all this stuff. And I think that's the mark of a good movie, is it makes you kind of buy into the characters around the main character. They're not there simply to tell the story of the main character. Like they have their own story that's also interesting in their own right. And I think the nurse is a particularly interesting, I don't want to say the word villain, because I don't think she's really a villain. I guess you could qualify her as an antagonist, but I don't know. I mean, she's a woman who in the beginning seems to just be doing her job, but then later, you know, at best becomes unethical and at worst is, you know, more interested in controlling the people who she has control over rather than actually helping, you know, people with mental disabilities. And so that is interesting to me because it's not so clear cut. It's a little bit more gray area there. And I think you could leave it up to interpretation whether or not some of her actions are just or not. Obviously, near the end of the movie, that becomes less ambiguous. But in the middle bits, I think you can kind of make an argument either way for that. And so I think I'm going to give this movie an 8 out of 10. I thought it was a good movie. The beginning parts, like I said, didn't really capture me that well. But the fact that it was like so lighthearted and then near the end, like took a really serious turn, but it was kind of always culminating to that point, but you didn't quite realize it until you got there. So I thought that was good.
All right, let's get right to it. I gave the movie a 6 out of 10. I honestly, the first like 2 hours not 2 hours, the movie's only 2 hours. The first like,
It's like 2:19.
First 2 hours.
I just mean like literally the first hour and a half of the movie just feels kind of like it just feels slow. Like, and maybe that's the point. I don't know. It's supposed to feel like because they're in an insane asylum or, you know, in a mental hospital, that's kind of like the days just drag on, but there's definitely a couple shots that feel like they just linger. They don't really help anything. The camera just kind of sits there. I think it would be a better movie if it were told more from the perspective of the chief versus McMurphy. McMurphy as a protagonist of the movie is just a total asshole, and like I get he's supposed to be like kind of helping the people in the hospital like gain confidence and everything, but I don't see him as a great character. Overall, I thought the movie was kind of slow. The last 20 minutes were really good, but overall, I just, I don't know. This movie just didn't do it for me.
The book is actually narrated by Chief. I don't know if you knew that.
And I did know that, and that's what I think would make the movie more interesting, is if they actually would have stuck to making him more of the main character. Like, I get it. You have McMurphy, who can be kind of more of a, let's be honest, you can't really, well, I mean, I guess it was the 70s. You could have just whitewashed someone into being the chief, but in order to get, people to come see the movie, you have to cast a pretty hot actor to be the star. And you can't cast that actor to be your Native American.
Thing for Jack?
I mean, yeah.
No. I like
no,
Jack
okay,
Nicholson.
Ben. Yeah, Ben and I were talking before the
No.
podcast. Jack's a dude. He's a fucking dude.
That leather jacket?
Like,
little bad boy? Well, he's real hot, that Jack Nicholson.
Black beanie.
No,
That's
I
the way
mean,
to do it.
but you look at the other actors that they, might have reached out to, and they were all big. You need a big name actor to be a box office draw.
Burt
Yeah.
Reynolds.
And I just think the
Burt
movie
Reynolds, is he
suffered
hot?
because
You want that mustache, right?
who doesn't? One, check yourself. But no, I just think telling the movie from the point of McMurphy being the protagonist did not help it. It just, in my eyes, made it kind of boring, and it made it seem like you're rooting for the bad guy most of the time.
I gave this movie a 7 out of 10. I've seen it a ton, and I think that that's something this movie does pretty well, is it's very rewatchable. You can put it on, if it comes on TNT, I mean, I don't know who's actually watching TV nowadays, but it's on Netflix, feel free, you can stream it. You can put it on the background, or you can sit down and really enjoy it. I think something this movie does that not every movie does extremely well is that all of the actors are very believable. All of the characters seem like you could relate to them. And maybe that's through like the technique of they give you just enough of this character to go, oh, okay, that's a real person, without risking like them having to be an amazing actor. But I think it ties the story together very well. Over the years watching it, Nurse Ratchet's kind of how bad she is has changed for me. But I think it's a good thing. She started off as like this super evil character. But as you guys have said, she's kind of more complex than that. Who really knows what she would be if, McMurphy never shows up? Does she just go back to her scheduled programming and never actually becomes that bad? Billy ends up okay in the end. Who knows? But I think this movie's super rewatchable. I'm definitely going to see it again, but it's not better than some of the other movies we've seen. So I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10.
Going in, I gave it an 8 out of 10. And this movie for me is a complex one, because I kind of hate watching it. I don't hate the movie necessarily, but it's kind of hard for me. I do agree with some of the points said, where it is like a little slow in the first half. It's a lot of like world building, getting to know everybody, and you really lose the actors in the characters. Like they lose themselves, and like Zach said, everyone is very like believable. Like the Danny DeVito bit, I was like, when's Danny DeVito show up? Oh my god, it's
he's Martini.
Oh my god. And the last half hour is just like a like total gut punch. And maybe it's the material that kind of like puts me off a little bit, but it is like an amazing film. It's very well acted. I mean, obviously it's the 70s, so some of the material is a little, so some of the like statutory rape comments, or like calling Ratchet a cunt, that sort of stuff. It doesn't really fly nowadays, but I do think this is like a great movie. It's beautifully shot, beautifully acted, score is great. And honestly, you kind of side with McMurphy, even though he's a total asshole. And you feel bad for him at the end when he gets his lobotomy, and Chief has to strangle him. But I bumped it up slightly to an 8.5. I think this is one that everyone needs to watch at least once. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to rate and subscribe. And check out our Instagram at Cocktails and Classics Pod. Use the hashtag Cocktails and Classics to send us your movie and drink recommendations. Shout out Brendan Fraser. Share us with your friends. And as always, watch responsibly.